YouTube, what's going on, man? It's your boy Xerxes coming back at you with another one. This is going to be a build guide for the Paladin Sentinel that I'm playing in last Epoch right now. The character's level 82, and I'm running a basically a Judgement aura. It's basically, if you're a PoE player, it's like Righteous Fire, but the difference in this build is that, Righteous Fire in PoE struggles with single target pretty bad. The single target in this build is absolutely like nutty. It's like playing Righteous Fire with like 10 times the damage that you would normally have on like a league start scenario. So I'm level 82. I just finished going through all of the normal monoliths, and so right now I'm actually doing my first empowered monolith, and I've gotten it almost to the end here. But I'm searching for some unique gloves. So this is the empowered timeline that gives you unique gloves. So I'm trying to get my gloves through there. But what we'll do, just like in most of the builds with PoE that I've done, is we'll run through a mono. I'll show you kind of how the build plays, kind of go over some stuff, and then I'll show you the gear that I have right now. By no means is it perfect, but it's pretty good, I think, for only playing this character for a couple of days. And then I'll see. I made my own loot filter. I just followed a guide on YouTube and kind of winged it a little bit. And so this is more of an in-game filter. I've taken out a lot of the low-level bases. But if you wanted to, if I can end up importing this and sending it to you guys, I'll do that. I've never done that with last Epoch before. But all you would need to do is go in here, and then you would change the subtypes, right? So you just go here and then you click on like the low level ones, right? Everything else will stay the same. But for me, like, I've unclicked all of these because I don't want these anymore. But when you're leveling a new character, obviously you could want these. And then as you level up, you just unclick the ones that are a little bit too low level or things that might not apply to your build anymore. But that's how that would go. Okay, so I'll see if I can link that in there for you guys. But without further ado, let's get into this mono, and I'll show you kind of how the build plays. The one thing that I will say about this game so far that I've noticed is that if you're coming from PoE, it's, at least in my experience, and I might just be playing like an OP build, I'm not sure, but the game feels really easy. Like, I'm level 82, this is a level 100 monolith that I'm doing, and you'll see that, like, even this, like, this dude's supposed to be like a boss guy, and he'll pretty much get wrecked pretty quick. So the gameplay loop that you do for this build, it's pretty specific in the order that you want to do things. So you want to pop your holy aura, and then you want to javelin, then you want to judgment, and then volatile reversal, and that'll take you back to the place that you just were, and then you lunge towards your target. So if you don't know what I'm talking about, I'll go over what these skills do and everything, but that's the loop. So it's basically, for me, it's RE, right click, and then QW. So I'll show you what that looks like. And he's dead. So as you can see, this is Judgment, right? I throw that down. It eats up all of my mana, and that's why it's very important to have volatile reversal, and it does more damage based on how much mana you consume, right? So I consume all my mana, and then I volatile reversal, and it takes me back to where I was in time, and it gives me all that mana back. So you have to be very careful not to Judgment without your volatile reversal being up, because if you do, you're going to gimp yourself on mana and you're going to be fucked. I'm having fun with it so far. I just like, I'm thinking maybe like this boss that I fight will be like the first real challenge that I've had so far, because up until this point, I've pretty much just walked through the entire game with like no problems. There were a couple of bosses that I died to just because I didn't understand like the mechanics. That's going to happen in any game that you're playing for the first time. I have played this game before. I played a rogue in the past, but it's just been a long time, so I forgot kind of how some of the fights go. But that's the mono down, just like that. Pretty easy. Okay, let's see what we get here. Corsair's Boarding and Defiance of the Forgotten Knight. See, like, I don't know if any of this shit is good. Bone Climber Barbute. Yeah. Oh, I don't know about that either, but we're picking it up. We're just taking all the legendaries and set items for now. So one thing that I just did today too is I set up my stash. This makes like a huge difference if you're just starting out. It's easy just to get carried away and not understand how it works. So I watched a YouTube video on how to set this up too. So now I've got it where, like, I can put all my set pieces in here. I can put my uniques. Let's say like, so this is a weapon, so I can put the unique weapon there. I have an armor tab, right? So it just makes like organizing your loot much easier, but we won't go too much into that right now. So let's get into the character and the gear. So basically the things that you're looking for in this build are attunement. So you want attunement on as much as you can get. You want fire damage over time, elemental damage over time, fire damage, increased elemental damage, anything like that. Okay. You do want some cooldown recovery as well. I actually don't have enough right now. It's like just enough to get by, but I would like some more. So ideally you want to get some opal rings, and then you want, I found a pair of exalted boots that actually have quite a bit of cooldown recovery on them as well. So on the boots, obviously you want attunement, move speed, cooldown recovery, and then, you know, you could probably get a better suffix than that. As you can see, my resistances are fucking insane right now. Like I have 201 poison res. So basically all of these things on my gear that have resistance, I need to get better suffixes on. But just know that you can get better suffixes than what I have. Okay. So I'll just go over piece by piece, like what I have, you know, and tell you what things you could change. So obviously this is pretty good. There are a helm that has cooldown recovery on there as well. So that's something that I'm searching for. But attunement, fire damage over time, crit avoidance, and then void res, that's a dead stat. Here I got an exalted LE damage over time, which is good. Area damage for area skills, which actually makes my judgment a little bit bigger. And then the resistance and chance to ignite don't really do shit. Here we have this body armor that has increased fire damage as an implicit. With mana, you do want to stack as much mana as possible because judgment scales off of how much mana you spend on it. So you want to try and stack up as much mana as humanly possible. And then just some armor and poison res. Again, the poison res is dead. For the weapon, you're looking for a wand. Ideally, you want a different base than this. You want the one that has mana, spell damage and mana, because again, we're scaling off of mana, but I just found this one and it actually ended up being pretty good. That's what I'm using for now. Healing effectiveness is another thing that you want to look out for. You want to get a ton of healing effectiveness because our skills scale off of healing effectiveness as well. And then block chance, if you can get it, is good as well. I'm actually only at 44%. I'd like to be closer to like 60, but for now, I'm still leveling. Like I said, I'm only level 82. So this is just a fire damage, LE damage over time ring with resistances that I don't need again. More LE damage over time. Some reduced damage from crits and health. That's decent. Just found this ring about 10 minutes ago, and this is actually really good with some health, damage over time, healing effectiveness, health regen. Not a bad ring there. Here, I got unlucky. I chaosed the prefix and ended up with intelligence. I was looking for attunement on there, but this is actually pretty decent too. So I got reduced damage from crits with damage over time and some necrotic res. This is probably like one of the worst pieces of gear that I have. I need to get, but that's why I'm looking for those unique gloves that I am on the hunt for. The boots, like I said, attunement, move speed, cooldown recovery, and then a suffix, any suffix that you want there. And then I actually just crafted this earlier too. Finally found some items that I could shatter for the plus levels to judgment is really good. So I got plus judgment and attunement, endurance, and some necrotic res. On the idols, you're basically just looking for any of these that have fire damage over time. And then, you know, just fill in all these other ones with some stuff that you need. You know, I just didn't really have too much that I could put in there, but, you know, damage over time, fire damage over time, healing effectiveness, all these things are things that scale your damage. Okay, so that covers the gear. We will go over the passives now. So in Sentinel, you basically just want to put 8 points into Juggernaut for the res. And the strength, I think you do scale a little bit off of strength, if I'm not mistaken. Let's see here. Yeah, so you can look at this. Strength gives your attunement 4% damage per point. So strength isn't like necessarily a dead stat. And then we basically just take 1 point here to get some health regen, and then block chance right there. This just gives us armor and damage taken from nearby. Since the AoE of Judgment is pretty small, that damage taken from nearby enemies is pretty much always going to be like, you know, if you're trying to do damage to them, they're going to deal 10% less. And then cooldown recovery speed for movement skills is actually really good because I'm pretty sure volatile reversal counts as a movement skill, and so you want to reduce this cooldown as much as possible. Okay, so those are the points that we take in here. You have to take at least 5 points in your Void Knight tree to get Volatile Reversal, so I just put 5 points in here for some health. And then this is where the bread and butter is. Here's where you're going to put most of your points. So I did spec into quite a bit of block, like I said. And so there's some block effectiveness here, block chance. This gives us spell damage while holding a shield. And our Judgment is a spell, so that counts towards that. Healing effectiveness, like I said, that's always good. Here with some health and healing effectiveness. Probably going to end up putting more points into this eventually. Here, attunement and Ellie res, and this gives us a shit ton of fire penetration for our Judgment, which does fire damage over time. Same thing here. This is just more spell damage and armor while you're holding a shield. A little bit of block chance here, which is nice. Can't dodge. We're not specing anything into dodge, so that doesn't do anything but help us. And then we gain health on block, which is nice too. And then the last points that I'm specing into right now are Reverence of Duality and Light of Rhea. Okay, so that goes over the passive tree. And then last, we will go over the skills. So basically what I was talking about earlier, the order in which you do these is Holy Aura. This is a buff that makes, and you get 15 Ellie res and there's a bunch of other stuff, right? So it costs like a tiny little bit of mana to cast it, so it's not that bad. So you cast that, and then you want to cast your Javelin. And the reason we cast Javelin, it's very important that you cast Javelin before you Judgment for this node right here. So it says directly using Javelin and hitting an enemy. You have to make sure you hit an enemy. Causes your next Judgment to do 60% more damage. So that's why you don't want to Judgment and then Javelin. You want to Javelin, hit something, and then Judgment, and you get that big bonus damage. Okay, so I'll just go one by one. I'm not going to go like super in depth over like why we take all of these. I'll kind of go over some of the pertinent ones. But here you basically go this way, and you get Unstoppable, which gives you invulnerability while you're lunging, which is huge. You have chance to block while you lunge too, which is nice. I guess you don't really need the chance to block if you're invulnerable while you're doing it though. So this just gives you some cooldown recovery. And then here we get some more charges to lunge. And then this just makes it to where we apply frailty on hit. So enemies deal less damage that we lunge to. And then this one right here is actually pretty important as well. This will give you cull on an enemy. So basically once you get an enemy down to 15% life, you can just lunge on them and they'll instant die, which is really good. Now this is the bread and butter skill here. I would like to get one more level in it, but as it is right now, I would put that one more level right here. But for now, you basically want to go up here, get some healing effectiveness. This gives you longer duration. And this is the one that will cast it as an aura. If you're leveling it up, don't put this one in there at first. Just manually cast it, and you'll have to run and lunge on enemies and hit it, and it'll be on the ground. But until you get a little bit higher level, I would not recommend taking this point. This one just gives you some area. This gives you some cooldown recovery. And then this is the big one, the multiplier here, where you get more damage. And this one is the one that I was talking about, Pious Offering, that gives you more damage per mana consumed. So this is where I would like to put my last point if I could get one more point into Judgment somewhere. For Javelin, like I was saying, this is the big one here. You want this one, so your next Judgment deals more damage. And then basically you just scale up here, and it does a little bit more fire damage, and it will heal you if you're walking on the fire trail that it leaves on the ground. So if you're here, if you get like low health or something like that, and you need to heal real quick, you can just throw this and then run across this line, and it'll heal you while you're on it. Pretty good. This is what I was talking about with Holy Aura. So I went a little bit more defensive, and I think I might change that. So I went down here to get block effectiveness and then a little bit of ward gain on block. I might spec out of this and go into this that gives you more chance to you know what, I think it's actually pretty good the way that it is now that I think about it. But yeah, this just gives you some health regen, some poison resistance, and cleanses ailments. So if you catch yourself like on fire or something, you know, if you have a gnarly ailment on you, you can pop your Holy Aura and it'll cleanse all the ailments, which is nice. More healing. And then this just gives you a chance to spawn a health globe. So that's how I spec'd this one. And then I'll also try and see if I can like link like a planner or something. Like I said, this is the first time I've ever done a build guide on last Epoch, so I'm still new to it, so bear with me. But I'll go over this last one, and then we'll end the video there. This is Volatile Reversal. really the main things that you're looking for on this one are the cooldown. You want your cooldown to be as low as possible. And then you want this point here, time rifts, and this point here for harbinger of dust. Basically what that does is when you volatile reversal, you leave a void rift right there. And if you hit enemies with that, they're going to take, right here, they take increased damage for 4 seconds, and they take increased damage over time for 4 seconds. So basically what you want to do is when I'm running through like monos or whatever, I'll run past monsters, and then I'll come up on a pack, and I'll drop Judgment, and then I'll volatile reversal, and I'll leave a echo there and an echo here. And so I'm basically doing more damage to that one and these ones because it leaves one when you use it and when you teleport. So there's 2. And then these guys are going to take more damage, and then I just shift back to this guy, and this guy's taking more damage too. So that's how that works. I think that pretty much covers most of the build. If you guys got any questions or anything, drop them down in the comments below, and I'll do my best to help out. I am fairly new to this game, so I don't have all the answers. I'm still learning as I go, but this build so far has made the game pretty much on easy mode. So if you guys want to give it a shot, go for it. Let me know what you think. With that, I'll leave the video there. Thanks for watching. Peace out.